Good afternoon, everybody. It's your Sister Jojo. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please don't forget to share and like and comment on this video. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, don't forget to share, like, comment, invite some people. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and go into a word of prayer. Father God, we thank you right now for those who are watching and those that cannot join us on tonight, oh God. We thank you for our very own Apostle Sally and Lady Renee and for their continuous blessings to teach your people. Father, I ask you right now to continue to pour into me as I pour out to your people tonight, oh God. And I ask that everyone who is watching this live get the understanding that they need. And in Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right, everybody. So, my topic on tonight is called Coat of Many Colors. Coat of Many Colors. Following upon our series, Humility and Submission. Now, speaking of submission, I had to submit myself to our very own, our lovely Apostle Sally, because he asked me to do WordUp Wednesday a week early than my time. So I'm submitting on tonight. I'm happy about it. But no, I am also submitting to the Lord again and again because my mind has been getting attacked. And I say this because when you think about it, submission is something that we have to do every single day. We have to wake up and ask ourselves, who are we submitting to today? Lord, is it still you that I choose? Or I'm going to choose depression today? Will I submit to depression today? Will I submit to my problems over you on today? And lately, I have been choosing everything but the Lord. If I can be honest, lately I have been choosing everything but Him. And I've been making up thousands of excuses to not go to church, telling myself that God understands what's going on. And I feel like I just needed to take a moment, take a break, take a break from fake smiling, taking a break from lying and telling people that I'm okay when I'm not, taking a break from trying to hold back my tears. And, I just wanted a moment to I just wanted a moment to just be to myself and cry. And He gave that to me. And it's okay to get that, but we have to always pick ourselves back up and get back to Him. So God said, He was like, okay, come back to me now. I let you have your moment. I let you miss church. I let you miss some teachings. I let you miss some meetings. I let you miss work. It's time for you to remember the path that I have brought you on. So you had your moment. Now it's time for you to come back to me. Okay. So now I'm here. I am here. I am back. And I must say that it feels amazing. Okay. It feels amazing because I realized last week when we had our prophetic training that just being in His presence, just being around you guys, just being around family, just being in His presence, period, it made me happy, made me happier than sitting at home or, being depressed or crying and whatever the case may be. It made me feel so much better just coming to church and being in the presence of the Lord. So, it just felt like it was just a weight lifted off my shoulders. So I do want to take this moment to apologize to Him right now. Like, Lord, like, I am sorry if I ever made you feel like that I was abandoning you or not talking to you like normal, because y'all, like, He ain't never did nothing to us. And that's something that we have to constantly realize. I know for a lot of people that we make him to be the easiest target because he's easy to blame, but he looking at us like, you just need to trust me, you know? So I just had to get that out. That's a whole nother subject, and I'm just going to leave that there and jump right into this message, right? So now we're going to be doing a little bit of reading on tonight, and I wish that I can read all of what I've been studying and stuff like that, but y'all know I want to keep y'all long, so we're not going to read everything, okay? So we are going to talk about a man named Joseph. A man who didn't fight evil with evil, a man who made a choice to choose love every single time, a true humble man of God. See, when we hear about this story, we only hear about the brothers bowing down to him finally and taking a place of humbleness, but we don't talk about when Joseph was humble. We don't talk about, we don't point out some of the things that made him humble. We only talk about his struggles, and what he overcame. And what point did he show humility? And of course, we're going to talk about his low down, dirty brothers. Okay? So now, I love this story of Joseph because it's relatable. It's relatable to many of us. Like he was raised in a dysfunctional family where his brothers showed fake love, where the ones that he thought was closest to him was really his enemies, where he was always blamed for something. So I'm going to start off at Genesis chapter 37. We can just start at verse 1. Genesis chapter 37, verse 1. Now, we're not going to go into all the chapters like I said, but I do encourage each and every one of you to, on your own time, to read chapters 37 up to 50 because there's some good stuff in there. Okay, so 30. Okay, here we go. Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. Next. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the son of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he had been born to him in the old age, and he made an ornate robe for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word. All right. Now, could y'all imagine growing up like Joseph in a house where your own flesh and blood hated you, where your enemy was living under the same roof as you, where you not only had to worry about the outsiders, but you had to worry about the ones that was inside, that was sleeping next to you, that was sleeping in your home. Like, those be the ones. They didn't just dislike him temporarily, but they hated him, meaning they thought some evil thoughts. It wasn't something that they can sweep under the rug. Like, they actually hated Joseph. Okay, so as we continue to read verse 5, and it reads, Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. Next, he said to them, listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. His brother said to him, do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us? And they hated him all the more because of the dream and what he said. Keep going. Then he had another dream and he told it to his brothers. Listen, he said, I had another dream, and this time the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bound down to me. Next. When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" Next. And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. One more. Now his brothers had gone to the graze there. I'm sorry. Now his brothers had gone to graze their father's flock near Shechem. All right. Okay. As I was studying this, yes, Joseph was interpreting his dreams, but I realized that Joseph was also prophesying to his family. As we continue to read, you will see why. Joseph's brothers couldn't stand the idea of bowing down to him. If y'all thought that Joseph hated, if y'all thought that they were hated before hating on Joseph, I can only imagine what they're thinking about now. Like, they angry. Like, who is this person saying you gonna bow down to me? So they looking at him sideways. So they were heated. Okay, so we're gonna skip down to verse 18. And at this point, Joseph's father sent him to Shechem to search for his brothers and to report back to him. Okay, so verse 18, it reads, "But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him." Next. "Here comes that dreamer," they said to each other. Next. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these censers and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams." See, what I got out of this was, God has a way of taking people that don't truly appreciate you and where he's taking you. He's not asking you to figure it out, but he's asking you to trust that he has already planned it out for you. See, I'm sure Joseph had no clue what was going on. But y'all, God will take you out of one element to put you in another place where your gifts can truly be seen, truly be used, truly be appreciated by those who love you, and truly to be elevated. And I think that's what God was doing with Joseph. Yes, Joseph didn't really understand what was happening like that, and didn't understand his brothers and why the brothers felt the way they felt or whatnot, but he knew that God was doing something big for him. So sometimes we have to be taken out of those places, out of those things, out of those elements for us to elevate. Okay, so now as we're moving on, Joseph's brothers had a little heart, because instead of killing him with their own bare hands, they thought of a less harsh punishment. They decided to sell him to the Midianite traders who sold Joseph to Potiphar, he was the king of Egypt. Okay, so as time went by, a man named Reuben searched for Joseph but couldn't find him. So in verse 30, same chapter, but verse 30. Verse 30. Okay. It reads, "He went back to his brothers and said, 'The boy isn't there. Where can I turn now?'" Next. "Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood." Next. "They took the ornate robe back to their father and said, 'We found this. Examine it to see whether it is your son's robe.'" So you can stop there. So, y'all, they made up a whole story. They made up a whole story and then had the nerve to say your son, as if they not a part of Joseph, if they don't share the same blood. Like, it really be your own people that's out for you and you don't even know it. Okay, so now that Joseph and, I hope I'm saying his name right, y'all. Potiphar partner, became close. He recognized that the Lord was on him, was on Joseph, so he made sure he gave him access to everything. He wanted to keep him close because he recognized the grace on him. So he basically gave Joseph a job to work within his home, and Joseph succeeded in everything. Everything that Joseph ever did, he succeeded in. Okay. Okay, but one day, partner wife decided to lust for Joseph. Now, why she had to go out for this man? He had already been hated by his brothers and stuff like that, and now he became cool and tight with partner, and now his wife want to lust for this man. It just went all bad, So she lust for him, and although he turned her down respectfully, it just became a whole situation, where Joseph found himself locked away again for something that he didn't even do. But God was with him even during that time. God was with him in prison and even made him in charge of that place. Now, for those who haven't read about Joseph yet, no matter where he went, no matter what he encountered, no matter what he'd been through, he was always in charge of something. And I found this powerful because he stayed humble the whole way. He never abused his powers. He truly served the Lord for himself. And he truly served the Lord and not for himself. So it's like, how can we expect to work without humility when it is a step needed to be taken for God to enter into our lives? It's like, how can we apply for a job without actually applying for the job? Like, we can't be an instrument of God when we're trying to serve ourselves. So take all of that in, because that is who Joseph was, and that's what God looks for in us. He looks for us to be humble, so when our time do come, we know how to take care of it whatever he gives to us. Okay, so with all this being said, when we look at, I'm going to skip a few chapters. So when we look at chapter 42, starting at verse 6, 42 and 6. It reads, "Now Joseph was the governor of the land who sold grain to all of his people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground." Now, this is normally how it goes. It kind of sounds familiar, because even though you have people in your life that's going to mistreat you, put poison on your name, talk bad about you, hate you, plot to kill you, or whatever, at some point, they're going to need you. And that's exactly what happened in this story. They ended up needing Joseph without even knowing who Joseph was, during that time. So here it is, about 20 years later. I really don't know if it was 20 years later, but some time went past. But here it is, about 20 years later, and the dream that Joseph interprets for them is now coming to pass. See, in the beginning, this is why I said that it was more so a prophecy, because he spoke it. He saw it in the future. He knew what was going to happen. And now, today, it's coming to pass. Okay, so they finally meet again, unknowingly. The brothers had absolutely no idea they were even crossing paths with each other. They didn't even know who they was bound down to, So, if you can take me to chapter 43, verse 26. Okay, 43. Okay, when Joseph came home, they presented to him the gifts they had brought into the house, and they bowed down before him to the ground. Next, he asked them how they were, and then he said, "How is your aged father you told me about? Is he still living?" Next, they replied, "Your servant, our father, is still alive and well." And they bowed down, prostrating themselves before him. Next. As he looked about and saw his brother Benjamin, his own mother's son, he asked, "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about?" And he said, "God be gracious to you, my son." Next. Deeply moved, deeply moved at the sight of the brother, Joseph hurried out and looked for a place to weep. He went into his private room and wept there. And then one more. Next. After he had washed his face, he came out and controlling himself said, "Serve the food." All right. There he goes again. So around this time, this is about the second time where we read about Joseph weeping, where we hear about him crying, that his emotions were getting the best of him. Y'all, all of this is so powerful, because all the power that Joseph had, even in that moment when he became king, he remained humble. Instead, he cried. He didn't think to watch them die like they attempted to do to him. He didn't poison their names. He didn't come up with a whole murder plan, but again, he cried. He gave them food and their money back. He set them down in his home and his place of peace, and he still allowed good to come out of what evil has done to him, so it was still a place of goodness in his heart. So even though Joseph had some trying moments, no matter what, they could never take his character away. His character, who he was who he was. He wasn't faking it. He wasn't putting on no show for nobody. He really had true humbleness and love inside of him. And this is why no matter where he was always in charge. God was able to trust him to be in charge of what he needed him to be in charge of. So, moving on. Okay. Now at this point, his brothers, they still don't know who this generous man is, from their words. They saying this man is so kind and stuff like that, but they don't even know the man that they're talking about is Joseph, their long lost brother, So it was getting the best of Joseph. So he finally reveals himself in chapter 45. And then they were amazed that he was alive, so amazed that he was so nice, amazed that he was amazed that he said to them, this is what Joseph said in one of the scriptures. I forgot the number, but when you go back and read it on your own time, you will see what I'm talking about. But Joseph said to his brothers, "Please don't be angry with yourself for selling me. God sent me here to preserve your lives." Now, Joseph could have cussed them out and blamed them for giving him a hard life, but he said, "Please don't be angry with yourself, for selling me. God had me here to preserve your lives, for me to look over you guys, because he knew that this day was coming." So y'all, as I am closing, don't be afraid to humble yourself and to submit to the things of God. It doesn't make you a punk because you're submitting to somebody or because you're humbling yourself. So that doesn't mean that you're a punk or anything like that or whatever. It just means that you are letting God prepare you for something greater. You are allowing him to come in so he can trust you with more. Okay, so anyway, this story was just so powerful to me. I started studying this, and this was before. I started studying this, and then Pastor Sally hit me up You know, he a last minute man. You know, I'm sorry. You know, but he confirmed on yesterday that I will be teaching on today. You know, FYI. You know, but you know, so I have been studying on this story and stuff like that. So I was just telling myself, like, Lord, I'm supposed to be talking about, you know, humility and submission. This is what Pastor Sally told us to talk about. But I've been studying on this, and I just hope that humility and submission is in this, because I ain't got nothing else to say. So he worked it out for my good, and here we are, because this was truly a story about Joseph being humble, and his brothers being forced technically to be humble. You know, there's a difference. Joseph didn't have to fake it, and his brothers, they had to shut up and bow down to his brothers, bow down to Joseph, just like his dream was. Okay, so it is what it is. And you know, I got to the point where I was studying at work. You know, I ain't gonna say I was ignoring my kids, but you know, studying at work and coming home. I'm even telling my kids, okay, y'all, 1 hour, 1 hour of mommy, mama, no mommy, no mommy. You know, for 1 hour. You know, after this hour, y'all can get a snack. I'll tend to y'all every need or whatever, but let me finish up on this story. You know, and because it was just so good. Like, for a long time, I would hear, you know, as I was younger, that the Bible is a soap opera, and you know, they got real life stories and real life issues, and I'm like, all right, you know. But as I grew up and did more studying and stuff like that, you know, like, the Bible is legit. It's good. It's good, and I didn't want to stop reading. Okay, so if y'all want to feel how I'm feeling on tonight, y'all need to start reading at chapter 37 in the book of Genesis, on up to 50, so y'all can really get the meat and really get the understanding of who Joseph was and his whole little background story. Okay, so please do not forget to, don't forget to give. You guys can text give to 706-607-5897. You can also cash app to $iLMgive. You can also PayPal to me /ILMgive. All right, so I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I helped somebody, and I really hope you guys take the time for yourself to go back and read it if you haven't already. Y'all have a wonderful night, and again, please do not forget to sow into this ministry. Thank you guys. Good night, and love you.